I would like to welcome 10 Up to the stage. Really, Oona, please come up here.
Saving you from having to say my last name. So, hi everyone.
Väisänen.
Yes, that's
Did I get
pretty
it?
good.
Okay,
So
pretty
hi
good. I'll take
everyone. My name is Oona Väisänen. I am the VP of Client Strategy at 10 Up. 10 Up is a full-service digital agency, and we have cross-vertical experience in strategy, engineering, and design, and probably most well-known in the WordPress space, and have built some websites for clients such as Politico EU and Spectator. In 2023, we merged with Fueled, who is another agency, digital agency, who are well known for their product-driven approach, as well as building some award-winning apps for startups, as well as some big brands. And while we've always advocated for quite a strategy-led discovery approach in all of the work that we've done at 10 Up, I've really enjoyed and learned a lot from the product discipline that Fueled brought into the organization. And Jeremy, who's going to come to the stage shortly, is one of our lead product managers, and I've had the pleasure of working with him in a few of the recent projects. And when we were offered a slot to talk, I immediately went to Jeremy and said if he would make time to come and talk about one of his passions, which is the value of user research. As unfortunately, often in my work, as I'm putting together project plans and budgets with clients, user research is seen as an optional line item, and it's quite frequently disregarded to just save costs. And what Jeremy will speak more about today is how actually that cost saving will end up possibly costing you more.
Hey everybody, thank you very much. I'm Jeremy, and I'm going to talk to you about the innovation shortcut that lots of people aren't taking, and they're missing out on massive amounts of value. So hopefully I'm going to persuade everyone in this room to invest in user research by the end of tonight. So we get hundreds of inbound leads every day asking us to build solutions for them. One such inbound lead that we got was for Last, and Last was meant to be the last dating app you ever need. It was for serious daters because the other dating apps aren't good enough for serious daters. On the left-hand side here, he put together a wire where you get randomly matched with a girl called Rachel, and you know a few things about Rachel. She likes board games and football, and then you immediately start chatting with Rachel, and you go into this screen where it's completely blurred out. You don't get to see each other, and if you're having a nice conversation, you want to continue, you can hit this button here, and then you decide if you want to carry on chatting to Rachel or not. And if you do, the blur slowly reduces over time as you get to know her. So how do you know if this idea is innovative or not? How do you know if this is going to work? How do you know if any of your ideas are innovative or going to work? Well, usually you'll go into like a build, measure, learn loop. You know, you have the idea, you build the product, you measure it, you get the data, you do the learnings from it. It all takes quite a long time, and it all costs quite a lot of money. And then you could end up building Google glasses for 400 million and only ever making 40 million back. So you do not want to do that. We want to take the innovation shortcut, and we want to go from idea to data and learning as fast as we humanly possibly can. And how do we do that? Well, we do it with user research. And Marty Kagan says, good teams engage directly with their end users and customers every week to understand what they're thinking, what they think about your brand, what they think about your site, what they think about your technology. And if you do not know what your customers think about you right now, you are missing a big opportunity. So that's what we did. We did some user research with Last. We put these prototypes together. We linked them all up, and we put them in front of users, and we made it as real as possible for them so they went in. And what we discovered was they wanted way more information about Rachel before they started chatting with her. And they were absolutely terrified to go into a video call. Even though it was fake, some of them said, please make the ground swallow me up, and they threw the phone away. And then the blur just didn't land. They thought it was a gimmick. They didn't want to play games with love. So it was a no. And then when Rachel decided not to continue the conversation with them, they were really, really upset. But what we did find out is that nobody loved their dating app, and that there was room there for improvement. It was just, so he had the right problem, but he wasn't solving it in the right way. So it's simple, right? You just talk to a load of users and you show them the stuff, and you do the user research and you get the results you need. Well, kind of, because you have to do it right. There's a few pitfalls you should know about, and the first one is the users don't know what they want. You can't ask users what they want. And there's this famous quote that is attributed to Henry Ford, but it's not actually from Henry Ford. And it says, if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And this is not a quote to say, do not do user research. This is a warning that says you have to understand the underlying needs of customers, not just do what they want. So the underlying need of these customers here is to get from A to B faster. And therefore, the motor car is the solution. And Henry Ford knew that, and he came up with the idea. And it's his job to work on the solution, and the user's job to be professionals in the problem space. They're professionals there. The next thing is users aren't imaginative at all. This is kind of in the same vein. I wanted to put this in here because lots of people believe that Apple does not do user research. Apple does loads of user research. I looked this morning, they have 225 open roles at the moment with the keyword user research in it. And they spend a lot of money doing this. What Steve Jobs wasn't like a massive proponent of was talking in a room and doing focus groups to try and come up with the next product. It's much, much better and much, much more valuable, like we did with Last, is putting it in front of users and making it feel real and tangible, because then you get real and emotional feedback from it. The more real you can make it, the better the data will be. The last one is that they lie to you as well. They will tell you what they think you want to hear or what is really socially acceptable. So when you're phrasing your questions, you have to be super careful with what you say. So, for example, if I said, do you like this product? They know that you want them to say yes. And I'll say, yes, I like it. Whereas if you ask them, what do you think about this product? They might actually tell you that they hate it. The other kind of big pitfall example is you can't generalize. If you said, how many times do you go to the gym in a week? Someone might say, I go 3 or 4 times a week. But if you focused on specifics and said, how many times did you go to the gym last week? They would say, oh, I didn't actually go last week, or the week before that, actually. Yeah, or the week before that. I should really cancel my membership. And if that's not challenging enough, then we also have 175 different cognitive biases that we have to battle against ourselves. And a good example of this is the confirmation bias, where basically we're all programmed to just reinforce what we think we already know. We don't want to challenge our belief system. So if you go in there thinking it's a great idea, you just want to hear all the things that people are telling you a great idea, and you're going to miss the bits where they say, actually, I'm not sure about this so much. And it's just the way we save brain power so we can make decisions much better later on. So you got to be careful. And this is all just to say, basically, you have to do the research right. And I think this is why it can get a bad rap as well, because if you do it wrong, you're going to get bad data, and you can still end up spending 400 million on Google Glasses. A quick case study here is Victoria's Secret came to us, and they felt that their brand positioning was slightly off. The customers had kind of moved on. They wanted to be more like diverse and inclusivity and things. And so they wanted a space inside the app where they could engage with their customers in this way. And so that was the problem they came to us with. And so first of all, we set about trying to solve the right problem. So we spoke to customers, we built a load of prototypes, we put them in front of them, we tested them, we made it as real as possible, we tried to validate the problem, and we tried to explore the space. So we did a content feed where VS could publish a load of content and users could scroll through it and engage with it. We did a community where they could connect like-minded people around the VS brand. We did a lookbook, which is a kind of like a Instagram where you can tag items in it. We did games and contests where you could win things. We did virtual events where they talked about stuff, and the customers could tune in and listen to what was going on. And in the end, the solution that we came in on was a mixture of the community and the lookbook. And the kind of big findings here was that there was room for authentic space to have a conversation around the VS brand. In fact, users were already doing it. They were on Reddits and subreddits having these conversations. And also, that on Instagram and other social media platforms, they weren't deemed as like safe spaces. If they were to post a diverse or inclusivity kind of style photo in there, it would get quite a lot of hate straight away, which is sad, but unfortunately true. So there's an opportunity there to create a safe space with a community around the VS. And the last thing was that users also found immense value in seeing other customers wearing items of clothing and styling it in a certain way. And it gave them inspiration, and it wasn't just on a model they couldn't really relate to. So we put all that together, and then we set about solving the problem right. So we did further user testing to further refine the UX and make sure we kind of ironed out any potential problems in there. This is kind of like a snapshot from the report. And you can see we're just making sure that users can are able to find the create a post button, and they are going to do that. And then we're looking at how they navigate through the look system and that they can add a look for themselves. And so when we launched this, within the first 3 months, we had 1 million monthly active users. This is a massive success for Victoria's Secret. And it's because we took the innovation shortcut. And we really, you can see here, we tried to, first of all, make sure we were solving the right problem, and that reduced our space for innovation a little bit less. And then solve the problem right, and we're getting further down towards a bullseye and a direct hit. And then when we launched, we're now using data and iterating and understanding in a much smaller space. We've got much closer to getting the right answer the first time. I just want to say, this is not just for new products. You can do this with your existing products as well, and user testing them. This is a client called SeeMe, that actually rebranded to Visi. And they had a onboarding here where you had to take a psychometric test at the beginning. And they saw a massive dropout here. And it wasn't because the psychometric test no one wanted to take. It was actually, we discovered when we user tested this, because the UX didn't make any sense to them. They didn't actually know how to get past this screen. And the complicated UX is you had to click and drag a number and drop it onto a tile. And no one could work it out. And so we simply just changed the screen, we highlighted the tile instead, and then you clicked a number, and off they went. Everyone started to get through, which is great. Another thing that we did is we tree tested with Penn Medicine to start building out their mega menu. And we were trying to understand what people's mental models were for how this menu should be laid out. If they wanted to book a physician, where are they going to find it? Were they going to find it in Find a Doctor? And so we put together the whole mega menu based on what people had defined in their heads about where things should be. So it made it much, much easier to navigate. But you can start small to get big gains. If you're not doing anything at the moment, then here's one thing you can do. Because 55% of visitors spend less than 15 seconds on a website. And 57% of that time is spent above the fold, which means that your home screen, your landing page, whatever it is that users are coming to, is doing a massive amount of work for you. So you can show a landing page like this to somebody for 5 seconds, and then you can take it away, and you can ask them things like, what do you think we do? Or what's your key takeaway from this page? What can you recall? What's your impression about the design? And you'll start to get some really interesting insights about what they're taking away. They might not understand what you do at all. They might hate your design. They might have not read anything. It might just be too much chaos. And I just kind of want to wrap up here and say, there's so much more to user research than I could obviously talk about in 15 minutes, and there's a lot more to it. But hopefully I've inspired you to try and take the innovation shortcut next time. Make sure you solve the right problem, then solve the problem right, and then you can get into this sphere where you've got much more chance of success and spend that money and then use data to iterate. And I just want to end with my favorite quote, which is, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. So if you're having these arguments in your company, go get some data and end of that conversation. Thank you very much for your time, and with some drinks.